Reverend Pandit Bali Sitahal Maharaj, President of the Congress Parishad, our Prime Minister, Acting Prime Minister, Dr. Budal Munilal, the Member of Parliament for the area, Secretary General of the Sanatana Dharma Mahasabha, other executive members present here, students and teachers of the Ramai Tr Hindu School. Forgive me a little bit, Honorable Acting Prime Minister, as I broke with protocol by recognizing the ministers of religion before I recognize ministers of state, but it's a whole Mahasabha habit because in this business of religion, the older I get, the more secure you come in tenure. In politics tend to be a little reverse, but the older you get, they try to remove you as quickly. It is indeed my pleasure to be asked to give a few remarks on this rededication ceremony of the Ramai Tr Hindu School. As you know, the Mahasabha adopted this policy of naming institutions many years ago because we recognized that the state at the time operated by the People's National Movement. They pulled the apparatus of state. They named institutions, and for somehow they couldn't find a single Hindu, a single person of Indian origin to name any institution. From roads go right down. It's only when national institutions that it was only I think when the NAR came into office, the naming of the Rudranath Faculty Learning Center in Cuba was named. And thereafter there was an absence of. So we recognized in the Mahasabha that we needed to recognize our own heroes in communities, or else they will never be recognized. And throughout the history of the Mahasabha, since that decision was made, we would have the naming of schools and various institutions throughout the length of where the Mahasabha operates. And the criteria used for selecting persons was based on their contribution to the community at large, and as such, the screening process for that person to be selected was very rigorous, and it had to endure the criticisms of the most severe critic in the form of the Secretary General of the Mahasabha, who, as you know, is not unscathing in his commentary and review. So it is no surprise that the Member of Parliament for this area, Dr. Budal Munilal, was selected as the person that this school was named, to be renamed and rededicated after. Dr. Munilal, present in this community, I think, cannot be unnoticed, and he is ably supported by Mr. Supu, the chairman of the corporation, and the other councillors here. He is ubiquitous in the constituency of Oropuch and Debe and Pinal. In fact, if you have to meet him, he would always tell you he has a second office by Moaiba, and I had an opportunity to visit him at his constituency office, one of his sub-offices, and when I went in there, I think it rivaled any healthcare center in Trinidad. The amount of people I saw at Dr. Munilal's office waiting to see him, and Mohesh Road, and it is an activity which he does on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, and it goes unsung and unheralded because it was our practice in the government and in the United National Congress that when we serve the people, we do not need to boast about it. However, that has changed because others, when they open a sweet drink, they have a photographer taking out a picture. If they open a pot, somebody there taking a press release. And by that publicity, people somehow felt that our MPs, our members of parliament, our ministers were somehow negligent in their duty. But that is not the case. Dr. Munilal is testimony that work is being done on a continuous basis, and we need to highlight that throughout the length and breadth. And I see Dr. Munilal has embraced that challenge. In fact, if he opens something now, within seconds, it's on Facebook. I must compliment his PR team. And Mr. Sylvan Paradisi, I think, is his agent of communication. And I wouldn't be surprised that as we speak right now, right here, that Facebook has been uploaded with pictures of myself and Dr. Munilal on the head table. So Dr. Munilal's presence in this community, I think, cannot be questioned. I think when we have any activities in the party, we can easily get about 15 to 25 maxi from the constituency of Devant. And those are people that he mobilized, and this is not, of course, persons who come on their own steam with their own vehicles and rounds up a little line on their own. So, and that speaks really about the quality of representation and connectivity that Dr. Munilal has with his constituents and the needs of his constituency. So it is no surprise that when I spoke to him about the Mahasaba's request about the need to acquire this land, he readily took up the challenge to raise the funds. And I spoke to him, I think, within the last month, and within a week and a half after that initial discussion, he told me, he said, tell Sat to buy the land, I have the money. So Sat couldn't wait because the owner wanted to sell quickly. He said, listen, we paid for the land, so tell her we need the money now. But I think he was a little worried that the promise wouldn't materialize, but I tell him that's the next party. They talk and we deliver. So when I sent a BBM to Dr. Munilal, because we communicate on BBM a lot, I said, listen, start getting a little and with this money. He said, no problem. And I met him the next day at cabinet, and he gave me a fat interview. He said, give the Secretary General this. I said, right. After cabinet, I left and I went to the home of the Secretary General, presented him with the envelope. I said, check it out, make sure it's right. And next thing you know, take out that check also. So I called him in the night. He said, yes, everything is above board. I said, well, we have to have a ceremony. How are we going to have it? We were speaking with Dr. Munilal and the principal, and we are here today. So this is the kind of proactive member of parliament you have, and really there are a lot of other activities in this constituency that Dr. Munilal is involved in, because you know the Mahasabha presence in this constituency is very strong. Virtually every street we have a Hindu school, and I think the Secretary General told me that in the days before, Badis had adopted a position that since the parents didn't want to send their little children to the school, they would put a school in every trace, so that they would have not far to travel from their home. So you have Ramai Tr, Mohil Tr, and so on, Suche Tr, Tulsa Tr. All of these areas are very. So Dr. Munilal has a lot of work there. And Parvati College, another one of the areas where we expect a lot of work to be done, because that school needs to be expanded. The primary school was supposed to go where the secondary school is now, and however, because the primary school occupied the whole mandir, and as the Secretary General indicated, over a decade ago, when that school was built, it was supposed to be for the primary school, and the Honorable Prime Minister now had promised that a new secondary school will be built thereafter. However, with the change of administration in 2001, of course, no Hindu school received any attention, and that neglect continued for the next decade. So now, with the construction of the new Parvati and new Shiva boys in the constituency, we are hopeful with some other developments in the area. And of course, that is just in the area of schools and the area of temples and mandirs. A lot more is expected in the very near future. So I once again would like to congratulate our acting Prime Minister for taking this very momentous step, and congratulate him for being person selected by the Mahasabha to be ready to have the school be dedicated and named after. Secretary General for taking this occasion to celebrate one of our community heroes and our Member of Parliament, Dr. Munilal. Thank you very much.